Hello and welcome to Sports Counsel, your playbook for all things sports. I'm your host Matt, and I'm here with G and Bryant for this episode of the show. It is the best time of the year. The NFL playoffs have finally arrived. We preview all 6 matchups for Super Wildcard Weekend and give our analysis and predictions for who advances. Plus, we revisit our predictions from the start of the year and update who we think makes it to Super Bowl 60. Today is January 6th, 2026, and this is episode 203 of the show.
Well, it's that time. I feel like every year this episode I say the same thing. Playoffs?
Playoffs?
The Niners made the playoffs? What?
Oh, man.
It is kind of miraculous, honestly, just judging from the entire season as a whole. But, I mean, Steelers made the playoffs too, last, seconds of the season.
Quite literally. Couldn't be any fewer seconds left in the season.
How scared were you, honestly?
I was pretty scared. Honestly, I thought we were cooked once they completed the Isaiah Likely pass on 4th down. I surely thought it was game over. But, shout out to Loop.
Oh, poor man. Please disable your Instagram comments, man. It's a tough world out there. All right, but we are Sports Counsel. We have a huge playoff postseason agenda to discuss. But first of all, G, where can the people find Sports Counsel?
Of course, I'd love to tell the people where they can find us on Sports Counsel. We're on all your favorite social media. So Facebook, Instagram, Threads, Twitter, X, TikTok, YouTube. We're on all of them. And it's easy. We have the same handle for them all, sports_counsel, 2 words, 1 underscore in between. Couldn't be easier. Go follow us on all your favorite platforms. And then once you get there, go get to the link in the bio. That's going to be our Discord link, not our OnlyFans link, not yet. But
Not yet.
Once you get to the Discord, you'll join that as well because it's free. Why wouldn't you? And then you can ask us all your favorite questions. Ask about what we think about the games if you have a certain question about it. Fantasy football is over, but that also means mock draft season is right around the corner, whether that's real life or fantasy. Best place also for those are going to be in the Discord. So make sure you guys join. It's free and it's great. So I don't see why not. Sports_counsel.
Yeah, and obviously as we're transitioning from fantasy football to real football here, we're still talking in that Discord. We were just talking about some of the Black Monday firings just a couple hours ago in the Discord. So, it's still a lively place. Definitely join. Definitely follow our social medias.
Yeah, we'll definitely be talking about the games, other crazy trades. When the Ravens trade Lamar Jackson, we'll react to it, bro.
You hope. You wish. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But either way, I know we are primarily a fantasy football podcast, and for those of you who have been listening for the past 17, 18 weeks, basically, we've been discussing fantasy football and we've been approaching football from a fantasy perspective throughout it. But even though we're pretty damn good at what we do in fantasy football, we are even better in terms of real football. And that's why we continue this podcast. We keep giving our analysis, but now we're centering it towards more of a football analysis and kind of actually breaking down the games from that level. But before we get to that, we do want to revisit our preseason predictions. We made an episode about 2 days before the regular season for the 2025 NFL season, and we predicted all our division winners, who made the playoffs, who would win the Super Bowl. Let's just revisit that quickly, just to show everybody how accurate.
I don't want to, Matt. I don't want to. Can we please skip this?
Can we please start with Bryant's so the stage is set?
You can skip it in the recording, Bryant, but unfortunately you're going to have to experience it live here.
Oh,
Bryant,
geez.
we are going to go with you first, just to get it out of the way. We predicted 8 division winners, and you unfortunately did not get a single one correct here.
Well, drat.
Sorry, not funny, not funny.
Hey, I did get 8 out of the 14 playoff teams right. I did get the Bears and I did get the Broncos. I got that.
I honestly think that is pretty impressive because you got to think about it. Like if you didn't get any of the division teams right, that's 4 picks that are technically incorrect, but you still find a way to go over 50%. Like I don't know how exactly the math works and like the possibilities of doing that, but I would imagine that's pretty impressive.
Maybe I'm just really good at guessing like the second place teams in all the divisions.
You just
You
underestimated you underestimated them. You just thought they were just wildcard teams, but I guess they are actually division winners, right? Because I mean,
exactly.
And honestly, I'll give you the most impressive picks. Yes, you did pick the Broncos and the Bears to make the playoffs. Neither of us did that. And they are the 1 and the 2 seed, I believe, respectively.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm just kind of reviewing these picks in hindsight there. Like, I guess you got to think back to the start of the season. Like, why were we discounting the Broncos? It was just like the Chiefs would just crush everyone in that division.
Kind of.
I personally, I still don't believe in the Broncos. I mean, they're not playing this week, but if they were, I would have picked against them.
Save the slander for next week, G.
Exactly.
Speaking of you, G, you predicted 2 out of the 8 division winners correctly. I believe they were the Jaguars and the Eagles, and 6 out of the 14 playoff teams. I think your most impressive prediction was, in fact, the Jaguars winning the AFC South. I think they were I think they're like the second. They were the second pick by trade up in the draft, but they were pretty terrible. So it's a pretty good shot.
Yeah, I mean, and I also want to make sure people understand that I was a Jags fan this year, so I do take a lot of their success to. What? When you?
This is the second time I've heard you actually talk. Yeah, this is the second time I've actually heard you talk about them unprompted since that prediction episode.
Yes, that is true, but it's not like we're just covering like our favorite teams and stuff, anyway. So it's like hard for me to just like create the lane and avenue for my conversations I want to have. And you don't know that I do not want to talk about my Jaguars.
You got to force it. You got to force it into the conversation. Yeah. My Jaguars. All right. As for yours truly, I went 3 and 8 for the division winners. I got 10 out of the 14 playoff teams correctly. I think the biggest shots that I took that I am grateful for, because it makes us look like a great podcast here, is that I predicted the Patriots would make the playoffs. And I wish I said it earlier, but I did think they would win 11 games. Like when I was predicting it, I thought I saw 11 games that they could win. And they won 14, which was crazy, even for, me. And the Carolina Panthers winning the division. It was sweaty. It took literally other teams playing for them to win the division. But hey, a win's a win's a win.
Dude, your face paid off. That's since the start of the season. That's probably the most impressive out of anyone's pick, I'd say.
I think individually, that's got to be the most impressive pick. Like the one pick that was most impressive.
Yeah, I put it on my grave. So if they got it wrong, if the Saints won, I would have had to die. I'm sorry, but that was true.
And we would have no more podcast.
Yeah,
it's crazy. The Panthers literally saved your life.
Thank you. No, thank you, Atlanta. Thank you, Atlanta. Carolina, come on, just win the game. First of all, don't make me stress another day. Jesus. But yeah.
I mean, interesting set of picks. I think, personally, what I'm telling myself is that the last few years I haven't done so well. Not and terrible, but not the best that I think I could have. I also decided the last 2 years that I was going to, pick every game on those schedule predictor websites.
Yeah.
And it's just not working. I just think I have to trust my gut. Like I just end up picking these games, you're like looking through like, oh, this team's gonna beat this team. And then you're looking at it and you're like, oh, how did this team, end up not in the playoffs? And this team end up in the playoffs or something like that, right? Because some of the predictions I'm looking at, I'm like, how did I even come to this scenario? And I know that I picked the schedule, so it's like this is literally just what I picked for each game. So it is.
You're gonna have to change it up a little bit, I guess, in terms of your methods, not going game by game.
Maybe I have to ask you what you're doing, but
unfortunately that's what I'm doing. So you're gonna have to find something new.
Yeah, I might have to go find that octopus that was predicting those soccer games from a few years ago.
You just steal it, or a few
years ago.
Well, there's only up for me, or I can say the same, which I better not. But
knock on wood.
Technically, you could all the playoff teams wrong, which you haven't done, and good shit.
That'd be insanely bad. You know how bad it is to get all 14 wrong and to literally pick 6. There's only 18 other teams left, so.
Yeah, and just some of them aren't playoff teams. Just no way.
Yeah.
No way the Jets are a playoff team. So that's really 31. Maybe do the same thing with the Browns.
And the Browns, yeah, get rid of them. Yep. There you go.
I mean, there's so much variance every year.
But you know how that worked out.
There's so much variance. It's you're going to luck yourself into one for sure. So maybe that's the craziest thing. Get all of them wrong.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, maybe you won't go game by game next year, but we are going to go game by game for these wildcard teams. And for this round, we're going to preview all of the wildcard games for wildcard weekend. You know how they dropped Super Wildcard Weekend? I don't know what happened to that, but it's no longer Super Wildcard Weekend. It's just Wildcard Weekend now. And we still have 6 matchups though. So lots to get into. Let's start with the least entertaining one. On paper, it's going to be the Los Angeles Rams at the Carolina Panthers playing Saturday afternoon. It's going to be the first playoff game of the year. These guys played previously in Week 13, and much was made of it because the Panthers upset the Rams and probably wouldn't even be in these playoffs if they didn't pull off the impossible here. They won at home 31-28. They forced Matthew Stafford to have 2 interceptions and 1 fumble, including the game-losing fumble that basically cost them the game. I don't know, guys. I believe what I saw on the Vegas odds is that the Rams are the biggest away game favorite in the playoffs ever, with like negative 10.5 point spread right here.
Right. Yeah. 10.5, I think is correct.
Do we see any possible path for a Panthers victory?
My logic here is that if the Panthers want to win against the Rams, they're going to have to do what they did the first time, and that's create turnovers and not turn over the ball. So I don't know how many people watched that game. Not many, probably.
I watched that game.
Pay attention too much to it. I went back and looked at kind of the box score, what happened. It's first thing you notice is that they turned the ball over 3 times. The Rams did. The Panthers turned the ball over 0 times. I would imagine if you had +3 in the net turnover game, you're going to win that game most likely, right? So yeah. I think that's an easy way to kind of first thing kind of look at and just understand like how that happened. Can the Panthers force those type of turnovers? Again, with Devontae back now, it's just hard for me to imagine Kyron's going to fumble and then, Matthew Stafford's going to throw a pick. Like all these different things had to happen for them to beat them. And they only won by 1 possession, if I'm not mistaken, when the Rams had the ball at the end of the game driving. So with that being said, I'm not going to spoil my pick, but I think we might be on a sweep here.
Yeah, we're pretty much generally in agreement. I think kind of the turnovers thing is probably, if anything, that's big for the Panthers too, right? I feel like the Panthers, then Matthew might agree too, the last couple games, well, they lost both of them. I think they're entering not only the playoffs, they're a losing team, but I don't think they've been like the best form these last couple of weeks too, especially in these must-win games for the playoffs. They need someone else to win for them to get in too. I'm just thinking back to, there was that crucial fumble in the last game too, which led to them losing to Tampa Bay, the Panthers will have to pretty much play like a perfect game, especially in the turnover department, for them to have a chance to win too. I feel like if they turn the ball over once, it's just game set and done at that point too. So the margin of error is so small. The whole team just has to be firing on all cylinders to have a chance there, even though they're at home. So yeah, I don't know if we'll do like kind of the score scene a little bit, but I'm looking at the Rams direction to win big too.
Yeah, so when I usually do a playoff preview article and I try to look at every single playoff team and kind of understand what their strengths and weaknesses are. And, it was so easy to fill out for the Rams. They have so much talent on both sides of the ball. The Panthers were the hardest team to give a strength to by far. Like, I had no idea what this team did well. I looked at every single stat, every single defensive thing. They're not
Ted exists.
Good. Ted exists, but he's not a strength because they don't use him enough. Like He's not do anything
in
good.
In theory, he is a strength, right? Like you said, on paper, the 4th pick in the draft or whatever he was, the number 1 receiver in the draft, is a strength. But when your quarterback's 5'9", inconsistent, inaccurate, and has a noodle arm, he's not a strength.
Yeah, Tech can do so much with that offense. Yeah.
Eventually, I put down that they were very disciplined because they commit the 5th fewest penalties this season, but the Rams commit the least penalties this season. So even that
the number 1 scoring offense in the Rams too.
Yeah, but there were 3 things in how the Rams lost to the Panthers here, and because I remember watching that whole game because I had Ted McMillan, so I was obviously watching that entire game. First thing, turnovers. We guys covered it before. It was crucial turnovers too. Matthew Stafford got picked in the end zone. So that was one red zone trip basically from the Rams that was wiped out. That could have been the score of the game. The other one, which was the forced fumble, they were already in field goal range. So they could have tied it up if it wasn't for that fumble. So those two were super crucial. They do need to get that again. The second thing is that the run game for the Panthers was surprisingly pretty good. Like, I just remember they were just crushing it. Once they forced Stafford's final fumble, they were just running the ball out and they were able to just keep on grinding it out, getting those first downs, taking time off the clock, and they didn't let Stafford back on the field. And then the final thing is that they were gutsy. They went for it on almost every fourth down. It was in the rain. And they didn't just try to convert the fourth down. They literally chucked it down the field. I think they had one to Jalen Coker for like a 40-yard gain or whatever. And then they had one like 42-yard touchdown to Ted McMillan on a 4th and 2, right? They were but going
is that repeatable though? That's kind of like when I hear those things and it's like, yes, like obviously it's all facts because of all the things that happen. My first thought comes is like, which of these can they repeat? Like, can they get the 3 turnovers, multiple in the red zone or in almost scoring drives and stuff like that? Or can they run the ball like that against the Rams? I guess that's like the one I would be like the most kind of not surprised by if it happened, but then it's just like just running the ball is not going to beat the Rams, right?
I think that those are the keys to success though for the Panthers, especially the fact that you got to just act like you are an underdog and you got to play like you're an underdog. Dave Canales, he played like they're underdogs in that game, and they actually utilized their weapons like Ted McMillan and Rico Dowdle and played to their strengths. So far and often this season, I've seen the Panthers, they've just been like, they don't know what they are. They need to remember who they are, remember what won them 8 out of 17 games, and that's how they have to win. They have to win by playing from behind and feeling like they're always playing from behind.
Well, that's a very inspirational.
My only stat that I have, I don't have any that are pro Panthers, but just teams in Panthers situation. I had teams that are 8-8 or under 500, obviously, because being under 500 and not being 8-8 is just more of a recent thing with the 17th game. But those teams going into the playoffs are like 11-2-1 against the spread. So 11 games and they're 8-2-1 against the spread. So they're covering at almost 80%, which is like kind of more of like just blindly picking them to win by less than 10 points, right? Or just win out the game outright. But it does show that like there's a bit of taking your opponent lightly because they either have a bad record or just aren't a good team. The only reason I just kind of disagree with that this week is that these guys played in the same, very much similar situation where the Rams were underestimating them, big 10-point favorites, and then lost. So that's hard. That's the only thing that's kind of like, that stat is great, but then it's like, this situation already happened.
Before, right?
Yes, we have already seen it, right? Exactly.
Yeah. All right, let's predict this game, guys. Who you guys got?
I'm not going to give that type of stat out and not kind of follow it, but I'm going to go 37-27 Rams. But even though the score is only 10 points, I think this game majority will be decided in the first half by an overwhelming Rams offense against a lowly Bryce Young Panthers offense that might get some garbage time stats at the end of the game to cover a spread.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm like 31-17 Rams. See a solid like 2-possession victory for them.
Yeah, and I'm going to go 37-13 Rams. I rooted for you guys, Panthers. I believed in you guys, but you can't come into the playoffs like this. You can't come on a 2-game losing streak. I would have believed in you a little bit more if you had won this last game, but there's just not a lot of momentum here.
There's nothing to believe in, honestly.
Speaking of teams with very little momentum coming into the playoffs, the Green Bay Packers going to Chicago to face the Chicago Bears, who have won the NFC North for the first time in just, 2018, I want to say? It's been a very long time. We thought these Packers would actually be the Super Bowl favorites for a little bit here, especially when they got Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons isn't there right now. And obviously, because these guys are division rivals, they're playing for a third time this season. The first 2 matchups, Green Bay won in Green Bay 28-21. And then most recently, the Chicago Bears won in Chicago 22-16 in overtime. I believe that was week 16, so not too far ago. And an important thing to remind about that, Malik Willis did play in that game because Jordan Love was ruled out with a concussion. And we haven't seen him since, but it's expected that he'll play in this game.
Yeah, this was the one I had the toughest challenge kind of figuring out what my expectations were for both teams. Because I just feel like with the Bears, like, take their last two games, right? For the same situation as kind of like the Panthers, I think they've lost their last two, right? Against the Lions and the Niners. Not the way you want to enter the playoffs, right? Obviously, we just had mentioned that. But it's in the way that they lost. They're complete opposites. The Bears game against the Niners, their offense was unstoppable, but their defense was basically god-awful and couldn't stop a nosebleed other than that first play where they got a pick six. Everything else kind of felt like an outlier after that, right? But then this week against the Lions, their offense looks like they don't know how to play until the end of the game and just kind of turn it on and make the game look closer than it really was. And their defense played a little bit better. Defense is also getting healthier for them. But then at the same time, it's just like that's been the Bears all year. Inconsistent, kind of like one good game, one bad game. Defense is good, offense is bad. But then the same could be said about the Packers, right? So I don't know, man. I just think about how the Bears barely beat the Packers with Malik playing in overtime. Had an insane pass to get there. That's a lot to happen again.
They had to get a touchdown. They had to get a game-tying touchdown, right? In order to do that, they had to go for 2-2. They were doing all this stuff.
But that's them every week. That was them against the Lions last week, right? Down 16, go for touchdown, get the ball back, get another touchdown, tie it up, then get the ball down 3 and couldn't convert at the end. Okay, they lost that game. But that's just who the Bears are. So it's like, I can imagine them being down in this game, coming back and winning too, right? And they're at home. Caleb's been amazing at home in comparison to the road. Obviously, there's a level of comfortability there. It's a lot. First playoff game. The 7 seed and the Packers make love every year. I don't even know what to do with them, right?
I'm honestly very disappointed in the Packers at the moment. I get what you're saying, G. The Bears don't look very much like a 2nd seed that's overwhelmingly gonna, defeat the 7th seed because that's just the way they play people and teams so far this season. But I mean, the Packers, they've lost the last 4 games, I want to say, and they haven't looked particularly good. And obviously, all these, Jordan Love was obviously out for that game. Josh Jacobs was out for the last 2 or 3 games. And Micah Parsons is obviously injured with an ACL. He's not coming back. These guys are just too hurt at the moment. I don't think that even if, Jordan Love comes back and I expect him to play, Josh Jacobs, I don't know what the status is of that knee. It doesn't look great. It doesn't seem like he was ready to play in any of them because he was active. He just didn't play. It must have been a pain management issue. That's the most you can hope for, but that stuff doesn't really go away. And I don't think that defense is going to be anything special at this point. With Micah Parsons out, they lost Devontae Wyatt, their defensive end, Quay Walker, their linebacker. They're just decimated basically everywhere on that defense. This is not the same defense they came in that, again, was expected to try to win a Super Bowl. They're kind of limping in at this point. Bad momentum. They haven't won a game in a month. I just don't see a way that they're able to win unless it's kind of this divisional familiarity at this point.
Yeah, kind of both of these teams are coming in was honestly on the wrong side of the momentum that you want there, and definitely think injuries will play into a factor too. I definitely see, and of course I bias towards the Bears and Caleb there. I do see them winning, but I don't ultimately, I'm not optimistic on the Bears going very deep this postseason. Their entire defense, I was looking at it the other week they're defensive yards given up for I think for rushing. For one of them, it's they're about average-ish, and the other one, they're putrid. For example, I think their passing defense might be really bad there. I might have flipped the 2 there. I think the only reason they've been able to stay in games is the Bears, I believe, I'm not sure if it's current for the end of the season, but I think they're the team with the highest, or have gotten the most amount of turnovers, interceptions, and fumbles out of all the teams out there. And that's probably kept them in a lot of these games. And now in the playoffs, right, you want to have that solid defense. And with the good teams, in the playoffs have a good defense. And from what I've seen with these teams that really thrive off of takeaways, like you can't rely on that as your defense effectively, especially in the postseason there. That's just not sustainable, especially as teams kind of tighten up during the postseason there too. So I think it's going to come down to how well the Chicago defense can play. You know, are these turnovers going to keep on coming, or if they're gone, is it just going to fall apart there? But yeah, this Packers team just isn't healthy. Depending on how well Jordan Love is playing, you know, coming back from injury.
How much to you guys, and I guess this is for both of you guys. I don't know if it's hard for you to put your USC biases aside for Caleb, but like the experience factor come into it, right? Coach has never coached a playoff game. Quarterback's never played started a playoff game. But then you got LaFleur and Jordan Love, who have literally been the 7th seed ever since the 7th seed has been created. Like it feels like, right? So it's just like, they've been there. They've literally won playoff games as the 7th seed before, right? So it's like this is not new to them, right? They're not going on the road, barely making playoffs, and then winning a playoff game. Like that's what they do. So does that like at all for you guys make a difference? Like how do we kind of...
Caleb never went to the playoffs, right? In the college football playoff?
He did not make the CFP, and then he didn't... We lost against Tulane in that one bowl that we saw. I forgot which bowl it was. I will say this though. I mean, yes, Caleb is clutch. You know, we've seen that, and then I definitely want to see it. But also, we haven't mentioned the Bears injuries too, right? I think I'm just looking at who's injured for them on offense. I think DJ Moore, Odunze, they all have kind of injury designations. I think Luther Burden, I don't think he got serious injury, but he was hurt. He was hurt in last season. So yes, Caleb could play. He could play well, but his weapons are also coming apart at the seams too a little bit. You know, how are those guys going to hold up? They could be a step or two behind too. So that could definitely be a factor, especially if it's, you know, close one at the end. You need one of these guys to come up big.
Yeah, and the experience part, like I think because I mean they played in 11 games. And 11 wins have been by one possession or less, right? And then comeback victories. Like, I mean, it's not playoff experience, but there's a certain amount of pressure that builds on you. And once you're comfortable being able to play from behind and being able to play under that pressure, I do think that is a factor in, you know, okay, we've been here before. It's just another game. Get through it. And it does help that they're at home. They don't have to deal with some kind of opposing crowd. I don't know how much it's going to factor in, but I do think that they will be ready to meet the moment. Even if it's a one possession game, 2 minutes left to go, I do believe that they feel comfortable in that scenario, as opposed to maybe other teams, like maybe the Patriots, right? Who also are kind of young. They are kind of inexperienced, but I do think that, you know, Caleb feels like he can do it.
Yeah, with that, I think we should give our predictions here. I'll hold my reservations to the end. I kind of want to hear your guys' picks before I make mine.
Yeah, I'll go first here. I honestly think that and now after talking about it, I do think it's a little bit closer than I initially assumed. I thought it was probably going to be a Bears blowout, but this is just not the kind of team that blows out teams. And if Jordan Love and Christian Watson, especially, if they can connect against, you know, again, a poor Bears secondary, they were able to burn them last time in Green Bay, you know, against bad man coverage. I do believe that Christian Watson will be the X factor here. Still, with that being said, I'm still going to say the Bears are going to win by a touchdown, 24-17.
I mean, I think it's going to be a really close one, just like all the matchups this season. They're perhaps even closer than the last game. I'm going 21-17 Bears. Could definitely see, you know, both quarterbacks having a pretty ugly stat line, like both guys throwing a pick, maybe just like 1 or 2 touchdowns, and like overall maybe even like sub 240 yards. So I can see a pretty ugly game, but looking at something like a clutch Caleb going for like a last second drive to win the game at the end there. But yeah, looking at a close one.
Well, I disagree with both of you guys on the total score. I think this is going to be a much higher scoring game. I'm going to go 38-34. Yeah. And I'm going to lean. You guys both went Bears, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll go Packers. I'll go
Really?
38-34 Packers. Yeah, I mean, I just trust Jordan Love. And like you said, Christian Watson's playing. He's the X factor. He's always been kind of big game performances, even though if it's just one catch that he's getting in that big game, he'll get that touchdown, right? Mm-hmm. I just trust the Packers a little bit more. I'm going to roll with the experience on this one.
Damn. Minnie's going to be very upset with you.
I hope so.
All right. The Buffalo Bills taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars at Jacksonville Sunday morning. The Bills are the 6th seed. This is kind of unfamiliar territory. I believe that the last time they played as maybe a wildcard team was in what? It was probably Josh Allen's sophomore season where they went up against the Texans. They lost that game. Now they go up against another AFC South opponent. This is interesting. I honestly thought this was a better matchup than the Sunday night game, which was the Chargers-Patriots. Because, I mean, there's a lot of factors.
This is definitely the best
here.
playoff game. This is easily the best playoff game. I agree with you. This should have been Sunday Night Football. This is not even close to I think this is leagues above that Chargers-Patriots game.
They don't like the Jaguars, though. But the Jaguars
no one does.
Are hot right now. They got a red-hot Trevor Lawrence, but they're going up against the number 1 pass defense, I believe, in Buffalo. And Buffalo, the number 1 rushing offense this season, going up against the number 1 rushing defense in Jacksonville. They allow the fewest yards per game. There's a lot at stake here. These are 2 maybe evenly matched teams, but, what do you think about this game?
Well, I mean, you mentioned that the Jaguars couldn't be hotter. I think they've won 8 in a row, so that's great. The vibes are great. I know that, doesn't necessarily quantifiable, but the locker room seems like they're fully behind him, and him as in Trevor Lawrence. The coach, Liam Cohen, easy top 3, maybe 2 candidate for Coach of the Year too. Man, it's for me. I Duval Nation, stand up.
Sure.
You guys should know what I'm picking, but Trevor's my guy. Josh Allen, surprisingly, isn't actually that good of a playoff quarterback on the road. So I think that's going to be a huge thing, not having Bills Mafia behind him. This is really hard for me because I do want my Super Bowl prediction to be right, like it was last year of the 2 teams, and I have the Bills and the Eagles. This week I have them. I want both of them to lose, and I also want my prediction to be right. So it's tricky path, but the hotter team. I would say the quarterback playing better right now, and surprisingly, the coach I trust more in the sense of I don't know what Liam Cohen is in the playoffs. I know what Sean McDermott is, and I'm not the biggest believer. So I'll take my chances with the Jags here. My score is still going to be relatively high scoring and a close game. I'll go 30-27 Jaguars win.
30-27. That is a lot for 2 moderately good defenses. I mean, guys, Jacksonville's defense is... I know Liam Cohen gets a lot of praise right now, and he should, but I mean, that defense right now, I said it, they're the number 1 rushing defense. And how do you stop an offense in its tracks to begin with? You stop the run, you force them to pass, right? And if you force these guys to pass, they're, I believe, number 1 in terms of takeaways. I don't know. They're not number 1 in terms of takeaways, but they're in the top 5. I believe Chicago is number 1 in takeaways.
Correct.
But they're very good.
I'm pretty sure they are.
My biggest concern is that I had the Bills as the Super Bowl pick 2, right? At the beginning of the preseason, I had them winning the Super Bowl, but I don't have a lot of faith in whatever they're doing out there because there's almost nothing there. There's only Josh Allen and James Cook, who is the rushing, leader this season amongst all running backs. But other than that, there's just nothing that I feel like inspires me to believe that this team can make a playoff run, because who's going to step up at this point? Who's going to help Josh Allen and James Cook take off the load? It's not Keon Coleman. We know that. It might be Khalil Shakir, maybe Brandon Cooks, right? Gabe Davis, I guess, is back. What about the defense, right? I don't know a single person on that defense. I believe Joey Bosa is the only one I know that is there. And that's just because of name recognition. This is the worst team that Josh Allen has had to carry into the playoffs since probably that last team that when he was in his second year against the Texans. It's just really hard. I think
there's only one way for the Bills to really get a win here, and that's for Josh Allen to put the cape on and turn into Superman, right? And just have one of the all-time, performances, or even just a run. And that's their way to get to the Super Bowl, is going to be off of Josh Allen every game, getting, 3 passing touchdowns and a rushing touchdown, and the defense gets a timely stop, and then they get the win narrowly, right?
Yeah, and you could argue that Josh Allen's the best quarterback in this playoffs, right? And he's the most experienced quarterback probably in this playoffs. And he doesn't have to deal with Mahomes. Mahomes eliminates him every year. And Joe Burrow eliminated him that one time. He's not here either, right? So you could argue that maybe when he doesn't have to go up against an elite quarterback, yes, he could probably win. But Trevor Lawrence is as hot as a quarterback can get right now, so it might not be that easy.
Yeah, man.
I'd be interested to see like how this Jags team does against like these mobile quarterbacks out there. But I kind of see that as like, okay, if our defenses, let's say they call it like they're a draw versus each other there, both teams can run the ball, yes. And in terms of passing game, it's just all those question marks on who's catching the pigskin out there for the Broncos. I think that's what would ultimately kind of do them in if they do have to play from behind. Can you trust those guys out there?
Yeah,
I totally agree with you. It is the one way to win for the Bills, and it's always been the one way to win is Josh Allen carry us, and it's just unreliable, right? I think that's the biggest thing for me. It's like, how much can I trust that?
Yeah. All right, let's give our predictions here right now. I'm going to go 30-17 Jaguars. It's just the fact that not only do the Jaguars have the number one rushing defense, the Bills actually have the 32nd, I believe, rushing defense, or like very close to the bottom there. They're terrible against the run. I think Travis Etienne actually should be talked about a lot more and how the Jaguars are going to use him. Trevor's hot right now, and they might be game planning for that, but they still need to defend the run, and I think that Etienne will get it done, and the Jaguars just control the entire game.
Yeah, Jaguars, they have both sides of the ball. They have a good defense, and then their wide receiver room. I mean, yeah, this Brian Thomas, Parker Washington, this Jacoby Myers room, they've been pretty interesting. They've been getting the job done these last couple of matchups. I think it'll be a pretty close game. I'm going to go 28-27, Jags just eking this one out.
It's a game of the year right there.
Yeah, and I gave my prediction earlier, 30-27 Jags. I think this is going to be probably one of the best games, if not the best game this weekend. The Bears-Packers game probably has more points, but I think in terms of like pure quarter-to-quarter closeness, I think this is going to be the best game of the week.
All right. It is the 49ers at the Eagles. The 6 seed Niners that had a chance for the number 1 seed just last week, but unfortunately lost to Seattle at home 13-3. Now they will have to travel to Philadelphia for their first matchup since 2023, where I believe the Niners won 42-13, I believe, or 42-19 or something like that. And obviously these teams famously met up in the NFC Championship game the year before that, where Brock Purdy tore his UCL and the Eagles won handedly to go to the Super Bowl. So these two do have some history together. They haven't faced off in a little bit, but it should add another chapter to a very toxic relationship between these two teams. The Eagles are 5-0 at home in the playoffs under Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts. And even though they are the defending Super Bowl champions, I don't know. I feel like they haven't made a lot of noise recently as, one of the favorites. I think everyone's talking about Seattle and Los Angeles, but I think Philadelphia is probably behind them at that point, right?
Yeah, but I mean, I think they rightfully have kind of played themselves out of contendership conversations, especially with all these halves where they're scoring 0 points and getting 0 yards on offense and stuff like that. It's kind of hard to be taken seriously. Other than being the champions last year, they haven't looked like a real contender this year, which is what everybody's kind of big, I guess, hatred with the Eagle is. I think they definitely benefited from what we thought was going to be a difficult division to being a pretty mediocre division. And then also just kind of struggling their way through wins. And their defense is elite. And let's get that straight forward. Their defense is elite. That's where I think they have the biggest advantage this game. It's going to be strength against strength in terms of offense. Their offense versus, your guys' offense in the Niners versus their defense. And that's kind of hard because they have a really good pass game. And you guys have been a very good pass offense, but the run game is still available for you guys if that's something you're going to focus on. It's just if the game script kind of lets you, if Purdy can limit the turnovers, it's hard because you ask me what quarterback do I trust, I would tell you the guy that won a Super Bowl MVP, but he hasn't been playing good. And then there's Purdy, the biggest wild card probably in this playoffs, right? We talk about X factors, like it has to be Purdy who's the X factor, right? Is he gonna keep a clean game? Is he going to be able to kind of use his legs to avoid some of this pass rush that we're imagining is going to be kind of all in his face all game? And, we hope Trent Williams is playing. We hope Ricky Pearsall is playing. But even if Ricky is playing, like, there's a great chance first play of the game he's going to get hurt. Isn't that happened like 3 weeks ago? Like, so it's like, it's hard. There's so much unreliability on both sides, which makes this matchup just even more interesting, right? On top of all the back drama and the previous matchups and stuff.
Yeah. I feel like injuries are definitely going to be a factor here. Well, for the Niners, right? I was watching that Seahawks game in the Buffalo Wild Wings there, and I just fun place. But no, I mean, the offensive line was out Trent Williams. I think it was Pleasance that was the guy who stepped in for left tackle. He was like okay, but the rest of the line just seemed to crumble. Like Purdy, I mean, we 3 and out so many times as Purdy literally had like less than 2 seconds to throw before he was just surrounded and pummeled already there. So the line is not looking good. Desperately needs Trent Williams back to kind of hold up, especially against the Eagles. But the Eagles are hurt themselves. I mean, it looks like guys like, Jalen Carter, Nakobe Dean, Jalen Phillips, they're all hurt too. So we'll have to see how effective they're going to be against the O-line. But yeah, it's going to come down to, if Purdy can make those right reads, not get pummeled behind the line all the time, and can he reach his remaining playmakers? And it's pretty much just McCaffrey. It's just McCaffrey and not Kelsey. Oh, good Lord, Kittle left in this offense. There, is Fangio going to have a good game plan against those guys? If you nullify them, well, that's all the talent out of the picture for the Niners.
Yeah, and I mean, I've been looking at the conversations on social media between the two teams. I remember back in 2023, it was just a lot of trash talk, how your team was better than our team or whatever. This time, both fans hate their teams. They just absolutely hate them. It's been so funny because I've seen Niners fans and they're like, well, we're done. See you next year. Tomorrow, Sunday's going to be the last game. And then the Eagles fans are like, oh, our fucking offense is dog shit. Kevin Petula is going to ruin this for us. Jalen Hurts is going home. Neither fan base is happy right now. And that's fair. I mean, you guys talked about, the great offense versus the great defense. And that is going to be a big part of it. It's strength on strength. Niners offense has been just as hot as Jacksonville, who we just talked about. Purdy has been almost as hot, except for last week, yes. But I honestly trust him to get it back in gear and get it going. I think that's the fine part. The bad part is that the Niners, no matter what they do, no matter what Robert Saleh has schemed up this year, they have not been able to get anything going on defense, productive-wise, right? Least sacks in the entire NFL. Now we just lost our backup linebacker, Tatum Bethune, who was the, filling in for Fred Warner. Now he's gone. I think Eric Kendricks, who we signed 2 weeks ago, is going to be the starter for this game. And, that's not something you want to see.
He's old. We got him and Kaiser White. So, I mean, our linebacker core is like almost a senior home.
Yeah. And, linebackers obviously been a big issue for the Niners because I've seen multiple times these guys have been misaligned. They don't know where they are in coverage. And it's up to Fred Warner to usually communicate that. And Tatum Bethune has not been at his best in being able to communicate that. And Eric Kendricks, I don't know how long he's been here to even be able to communicate that. So it will be interesting. I feel like there's just no way that the Eagles offense is so bad that they can't even take advantage of a defense that doesn't really have a lot of talent and doesn't know where they are and doesn't also tackle. So, I mean, I expect basically them to employ the same game plan as the Seahawks. They just run it with Saquon and they get Saquon going. They need to get him going, honestly, for the entire playoffs anyway. So they better just run it on us. AJ Brown, get him involved a little bit as well. I just think that the Philadelphia Eagles' weakness, which is a bad offense, which is just not communicating right, is going to ultimately triumph against a worse Niners defense. Like, their weakness is still better than our weakness right now. And I think that's going to be the biggest factor in this game.
Yeah, well, I also, like I said earlier, I really want the Niners to win. It'd be cool for the Niners to make the Super Bowl in Santa Clara. But I did pick the Eagles originally to make the Super Bowl. I do want to be right. So it's kind of like, the duality of the man, right? Like, Do I follow my heart, or do I just do what I want? Do I do what I do to be right? And today I'm picking whatever I can to be right. After my terrible predictions to start the year, I'm going to stick to them. I got the Eagles in a low scoring game. I'm going to go 23-17.
As we were talking, I started to realize, wow, I forgot how bad the Eagles were this year. And I was about to, maybe switch my prediction over to the Niners. I mean, we should. We were all in the debate. We should support the Niners. But then I remembered it's Vic Fangio versus Shanahan. Fangio has had Shanahan's number multiple times. I think almost all previous matchups, his defenses have done fantastic. And I think that's what's going to come down to me. I feel like that Eagles defense, even if there are injuries, it's going to kind of shape up there. I mean, pains me to say I'm going to go 23-13 Eagles.
I'm going with the Niners, 30-0. They're just going to crush the Eagles. Just kidding, guys. I can't do this. You guys know, if anyone's ever listened to me, I'm a Niners fan. I'm the most pessimistic as they come. And I think the Niners season mercifully ends on Sunday. And it's a good thing, so that nobody else has to get hurt. Everyone just is able to rest happy. Purdy can rest that toe. I think the Eagles will win 23-17. It wouldn't surprise me too much if the Niners won, but I just think that the betting odds, it's probably going to go with the Eagles. I think they're just the better team at the moment.
And I guess that's a tough one, man. I'm happy someone is going to try to take the Niners. Maybe. I guess your 30-0 doesn't really count, right?
I count it if I'm going to put it on every single reel and whatever if it works. But
yeah, just clip around it. Make it seems like.
And if they don't win, then I'm going to cut that part.
Yeah, let's just do that for every pick. Then we just claim we went perfect.
Hell yeah! All right, Sunday Night Football. The Chargers at the Patriots. This is the game that we don't believe should be in primetime, and it seems like a pretty big mismatch on paper. But I think the biggest and most interesting question is, will the Patriots beat a winning team this season?
That's a great question. I don't know. I don't know what to answer that.
It's tough to say.
Not the Bills,
What's their
I don't know
one
if they
win?
can do it.
The one win was against the Bills. Yeah, that was it.
Which was on Sunday night.
They technically beat two playoff teams, but only one over 500. You guys figure out which one I'm talking about.
I guess one of them. Yeah, just talking about them. I mean, yeah, I think just as much as I feel like kind of these Patriots teams, they haven't played anyone, I do kind of go with the narrative that they're not going to get very far these playoffs. I mean, this Chargers offensive line is just dog shit, basically, right? I think there was some
they're abysmal.
graphic.
I saw a stat that said they're 31st in run and 32nd in pass. I was like, how is that possible? Pick a struggle, bro. Pick a struggle.
Their PFF scores across the board for all their guys are like in the bottom, literally the bottom two, like the 30th percent, like the lowest percentile of the linemen out there. So, I mean, it's just really bad. If you have any semblance of like a pass rush there, you should be able to make Herbert's team hell. And I haven't paid attention. Is Herbert still playing? Was like a club arm? Like, is his left arm healed up or anything like that?
I'm pretty sure he's going to still play like that. Yeah.
He literally has one arm out there with no O-line. That's that offense taken care of there. So I'm not very optimistic about the Chargers, even against, a young and up and coming Patriots team.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the biggest thing with the Chargers is that, I mean, we'll talk about the Patriots in a bit, but the Chargers, that offensive line is so bad that it literally just destroys your game plan, right? We saw it against the Texans, who have an amazing defensive line and amazing defense. They literally couldn't do anything against them unless it was some Herbert improvisation that happened in the fourth quarter. He was just running for his life. He was just running everything, and it was mostly improv out there. But their game plan coming in was basically, let's run the ball. Nope, they couldn't do that, right? Then they tried to pass for short passes. They couldn't do that either, right? They have to, like, if you can't run the ball with this offensive line, if you can't throw it deep because you don't have enough time to give Herbert to get that deep pass down and for those wide receivers to get downfield, then you can't throw it deep. So what are you left with? You're basically left with run the ball into a wall or just throw short passes, and now all the defenders will be crowded basically up on the line of scrimmage. Like, it's such a handicap. It's such a handicap. And I think that's what the Patriots are going to basically do. They're going to just play close. Like, remember, like in Little League, right? When you see a bad batter, everybody inch up. Everybody come closer, right? I feel like that's going to be the exact same way that the Patriots are going to just attack the Chargers, and they're probably going to win with that way because that's just how bad the offensive line has been.
Yeah, like what are the Chargers going to do about it?
Yeah, like the only thing I could see is that one, someone magically gets healthier and they're able to, play him. Or two, they play with 6 offensive linemen, or they put Justin Herbert in motion or like on the run at all times and then just use that mobility. Or like Hampton somehow, has to just break out a run and break through like 5 tackles. Like, this is how it works. It's so hard. And the Patriots defense is actually not bad at all. They're, I think, one of the best run defenses in the NFL. So they're going to have to force him to pass, and then they're probably going to get him.
Yeah. I agree with you guys all the way on this one. I guess one side of the ball we haven't talked too much about is obviously we mentioned with Caleb, first playoff game, Drake May, first playoff game against a really good defense in the Chargers. Jesse Minter has been one of the best defensive coordinators in the league, has getting head coaching interviews, understandably so. But do we have any kind of, I guess, hesitancies about May and his first playoff game? He hasn't played anybody. We mentioned it earlier. They haven't really been in any adversity at all. Can the Chargers just get a little bit of a lead, and will that kind of throw off the Patriots a little bit? Or is that kind of like maybe next round the Patriots can be got? This Chargers team just don't you guys think can be got at all?
I think this is go ahead.
There was that one game, I watched a bit of it, it was against the Ravens, who were, I guess, an almost level playoff team, where the Patriots, they did come back down at least a score, maybe a little more than that in the fourth quarter to win. Like, I mean, they can come back and win a game. Yes, it is possible there. But honestly, May has performed. May's been doing quite well this season there. I wouldn't put it out of him to, be able to come back and win a game. But yeah, if the game plan kind of goes out the window there, would definitely. But this Chargers O-line is so. I keep on just going back to that. Yeah.
I think the Chargers defense is the best way they're going to have to win this game. They're going to have to force turnovers on Drake May, just like how they forced a couple of turnovers on CJ Stroud to set them up for a couple of scores, right? They have to be able to turn the ball over. May can sometimes turn the ball over. And I believe in that loss against Buffalo, he turned the ball over and they didn't score in the second half. Like, it's possible. They can do that. And their strength is in their defense. So they have to basically be able to win on Drake May. Do I believe that Drake May is going to choke in the moment? No, he's my goddamn MVP. He can do whatever he wants. Like, I think that the schedule thing is overblown. I do think that he is still a good quarterback and he should be the MVP this year. And I don't see him getting nervous in this moment. I think that, he's been playing with house money the entire time. I think he's still able to do that this year and, in the postseason. It wouldn't surprise me if this Patriots team didn't score more than 20 points because it is a tough defense. But I don't think it's going to be like a monumental collapse or anything. I don't think that once they see a winning team, they just shrivel up and die or anything. Like, they're still a good team. You build winning habits even against bad teams. I think they have those good winning habits and they'll be consistent.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I am taking the Patriots on this one. I will take them, I would say, pretty handily. I just think if this game gets away from the Chargers, it's even harder to get right back into it, right? Like, you're the run game based offense when you're down to a very, very good Patriots team. I don't think this is a game that the Patriots will be got. There is a chance they can be, but I think that might be next round. But for now, I will take the Patriots 27-21.
Ooh, these are high-scoring games for you guys.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Patriots 30-17 there. I can see, a pretty strong game just all around for the Patriots.
I think this is going to be ugly. I think the Patriots are going to win, but I think they are going to struggle a bit some in the beginning. Maybe not. Nobody scores at the end. I think it's going to be 20-14 Patriots. It's just kind of an ugly game, not the one you want to see on Sunday Night Football. But ultimately, if Drake May can get his first playoff win, I think he'll start to settle in and get even more comfortable for the rest of the postseason. But I think the first game, it's going to be a little bit of a stone fight. Okay, final game on the schedule.
The most important game.
To some. The Houston Texans at the Pittsburgh Steelers, 5th seed Texans, 4th seed Steelers, Monday Night Football, last game of the wildcard slate. Last playoff team in the Pittsburgh Steelers. Made the playoffs once again. They're like cockroaches. They just don't go away. And Mike Tomlin continues to do it. They are on a 6-game playoff losing streak, though. So for the last 6 appearances in the playoffs, you have not seen a single win. But as well, the Steelers have not lost a home Monday Night Football game since 1991. So something's got to give here. Maybe you guys are lucky that it's on Monday Night Football. But, I mean, every time I look at the Steelers and I watch the Steelers, or at least when we get to this point in the season, it's like the scriptwriters didn't change a single thing. Like they just literally copy and pasted whatever the Steelers result was last year, and they copy and pasted it in here. It's like when they got lazy and they're like an NPC and they coded the exact same motions that the NPC would do game over game. And it's basically non-losing record, make the playoffs, lose in first round. Like it's the exact same script every year. And that's why I'm a little bit frustrated that the Steelers are in the playoffs for like the 6 billionth time, because we know how it's going to go. We know how it's going to go.
No. Stop.
Why?
All right.
Stop.
Say your piece, G. Say your piece.
Houston, we got a problem. You guys like that one?
Sure.
But
who is it?
Actually, though, Houston does have a problem. And that problem is their offense is just as bad as our offense. And these guys cannot do anything. I mean, they've had a little bit better weeks kind of ending the season, but overall, their offenses look just as bad, if not worse than ours. We have coming off 4 of a 5-game win streak. Sure, we lost against the Browns. Very bad loss, but it's kind of one of those scheduled losses. Like you said, Matt, scriptwriter scheduled that one, right?
It's all the
DK
same.
is coming back. DK's coming back. The vibes are great. Mike Tomlin doesn't lose on Monday Night Football at home. Knock on wood. This is a huge game for the Steelers, and I just think they have the coaching advantage. I would take Mike Tomlin in this spot over DeMeco Ryans. I trust. The keyword is not who's better, who do I trust more. I actually do happen to trust that 42-year-old immobile quarterback just a tad bit more than CJ Stroud, who is just also considerably all over the place this year. And then even last year came in hot. Last year had a very bad year, still won a playoff game, and possibly could do it again this year, even though he's not having a good year again. And their O-line is bad. I understand everybody's going to talk about the Texans D-line against the Steelers O-line, which will be a problem, but we have this dink and dunk offense that we just showed last week is effective, should slow down the pass rushers a bit. We do have DK back. Gainwell's playing good. I'm not as worried about that side of the ball. But then you have this Texans offense that is O-line is awful. We have Hayward, who played probably one of his best games of the year. TJ's back, who had an interception. I think people are underestimating the Steelers defense. And I don't think people understand that the defense in itself can go out there and win the Steelers a game. And I think they will this week. Obviously, I'm a biased guy here,
Yeah, clearly.
But they didn't put us on Monday night for no reason. They want Mike Tomlin to get this win. They want Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers to make it to the next round. It's just more interesting if the Steelers win in comparison to the Texans. So by Matt's logic of the script writers would want the Steelers in the next round.
They put you in the playoff in Monday Night Football because you guys played on Sunday night. So they didn't want to give you any rest disadvantage right there. So let's get that out of the way first.
Second it's just thing, we don't lose on Monday Night Football. Better coaches do a lot more with the extra day of rest.
Sure. Second thing, DeMeco Ryans and CJ Stroud have won more playoff games recently than either Aaron Rodgers or Mike Tomlin in the last 3 years. Let's not forget that Aaron Rodgers hasn't been to the playoffs since 2022, and they lost to the 49ers in that round. They didn't even win a game. And then, again, we're just talking about the same thing over and over again. It's the exact same thing. Crash out wide receiver, returning for the playoffs. Mike Tomlin just barely inching in, right? I'll grant you this, that the Texans' offensive line is terrible, and the Steelers are top 10 in sacks this year, right? That's your advantage right there. But I honestly would take the Texans' offense over the Steelers' offense right now. Nico, I trust him way more than DK Metcalf at this point. I don't even know. Like, DK has not even really been that good this season. Kenneth Gainwell is your best receiver, I think, at the moment. And I just feel like
he does lead the team in receptions.
Yeah, and for good reason, I guess. But also, Aaron Rodgers has been checking it down at a historic rate this season. I think his average depth of target this year is 6 yards. If the Texans know that, they're going to swarm. This Texans defense is legit. I think that it can carry them to a Super Bowl at this point. So I just don't know how the innovative mind of Arthur Smith is going to be able to game plan against D'Amico Ryans when guys like McVay or Shanahan haven't been able to.
Yeah, I mean, the Texas defense is for real out there. I think I saw some commentary around there. They don't do any disguises on their defense. They just beat you. I'm the better cornerback. I'm the better linebacker. I'm the better defensive end right there. They'll just beat you down like that, which is definitely going to be their biggest strengths. I think if it comes down to the wire, if the narrative is set, it's like, oh, the Steelers, they're down by a point. Field goal wins in the game or touchdown wins in the game. I can see that Aaron Rodgers, one last game-winning drive for the record books out there. I can definitely see that narrative, but otherwise, I'm going to still go to the Texans direction too. Their defense is ferocious. I think their offense, while definitely clearly has its issues, I think it can do enough to get them to win here. So in terms of score, I'm going to go 23-20 for the Texans.
Again, I don't know how you guys are getting these scores because I don't see either team. I can barely fathom either team scoring points in this game. I'm going 20-13 Steelers, but 20-13
Yes, no,
Texans.
you said it. It's over.
20
It's too
to
late.
13
Clip it. Even though Matt's the one that would have to clip it, but Matt, clip it later.
We'll see. If they win, okay, fine. I'll give you that. 20-13 Texans. And that's only because I think there's going to be like some pick six or fumble for a return for a touchdown for the Texans. Like a defensive score. That's the only way we're reaching 20 in this game.
That's not true because the Steelers are scoring 20, actually. And the Texans are scoring 18 in my prediction here.
Are we getting 6 fair-bearing field goals?
Yeah, honestly, I wouldn't be too surprised if something like that happened. I think the kicker could be the most important position in this game.
It honestly might be.
Great kickers.
Yeah. All right. Kaimi Fairbairn over 5.5 field goals. Put it on Prize Picks right now.
Lock it in.
Yeah, literally. I don't see it. Dude, this game is going to be ugly. I think, Matt, you're kind of been alluding to it, but this is going to be ugly.
It's also going to be in miserable, cold Pittsburgh. Like, it's not in
Which
the
helps
dome,
us, though.
right?
Which
Yeah, it is.
helps us.
It is helpful for you guys, but it's going to suck. It's going to be such a, barn burner, not a barn burner, the opposite of a barn burner for Monday Night Football.
A barn builder of a game. We're going to build a barn after this.
Yeah. Those are our wildcard predictions. And let's move on to our Super Bowl predictions. We didn't cover it before, but our Super Bowl predictions in the preseason, we kind of alluded to it. But I believe I had the Bills over the 49ers because I like pain. G had the Bills over the Eagles, and Bryant, you had the Ravens over the Eagles. So you're going to have to redo that one for sure. Yeah, how about you start us off then with what do you believe is your Super Bowl matchup? You don't have to take us through the entire road, but kind of just paint the picture of like how are we going to get to the AFC team, how are we going to get to the NFC team here?
I'm just gonna just look at the matchup themselves. At this point, it's like knowing what happened, how the team's form is looking come to playoffs. Who's gonna even make it to the Super Bowl from either region. I think I gotta remember we got the first seeds too. We got the Broncos and the Seahawks to consider as well. Are the Seahawks, are they a Super Bowl caliber team this year? I mean, they made quick work of the Niners, but that's Sam Darnold at quarterback. I would say it's so tough this year because I think everyone's alluded to it. Like, it feels like anyone could win, and so many teams have like crippling issues going on with stuff.
That's not fair. Lay your nuts on the table, man.
I will lay my nuts. Fine. I will lay my nuts on the table. I'm gonna go big nuts. You know what? I'm gonna say the Bears make the Super Bowl. I'm gonna lock it in, bro. I'm gonna say the Bears make it. I'm gonna make it out there. Going up against the Bears Patriots, that would be That would be a good one, though I highly doubt it's going to be that.
Lock it
But
in. This
I'm
is
just
your
gonna lock
moment.
it in. You know what? The two number 2 seeds going at it, the Bears and the Patriots. How about that was my prediction, I think, for the 300th episode or whatnot. Let's say the Bears win the Super Bowl this year, Bears over Patriots. Just put it in.
Bears over Patriots. That would be kind of exciting. I mean, I guess the road there would be more exciting than the actual Super Bowl, but I'd love to see how both teams get there. But I'm going to kind of take the easy way out. I'm going to stick with my picks, even though I don't think I have either team making it past round one, preferably. I would love for the Niners and the Eagles to the Niners to beat the Eagles and the Jags to beat the Bills, but I don't know how, but they're still going to get there. Give me the Eagles, give me the Bills. The Bills win it. I don't know how.
So the Jaguars are going to
possible?
forfeit or something, and then the Bills have to step in and play. Is that how it's going to go?
Yeah, I think something like that would work. I think maybe instead of a table, a Bills fan will jump into like the Jags team bus, and then they'll have to forfeit because there's nobody left.
Can't play without a bus.
Literally, how would you play without a bus?
No other modes of transportation there. Well,
yeah, got to stay true to our picks here, right? Like, can't just bail out on everything.
I mean, technically, I still have my picks. They're still alive. I could still pick the Bills over the Niners, and I was very tempted. I believe in the 200th episode, I said I wanted to do the Bills and the Rams in the Super Bowl. I think you took that from me, G. And you're already bailing on that one too. So, what it gives with that. But, I mean...
a lot of predictions I got to stay up to here.
If you predict them all, one of them gets clipped, and hopefully it's the right one.
Exactly.
If I was a homer, I'll give my homer pick. The Niners beat the Broncos in the Super Bowl. But I know that's probably not going to happen at this point. But just in case, clip that. My actual pick this year is going to be the Rams, who I believe are the best team in the NFC because they're the only team that have top 10 in offense and top 10 in defense right now. The Seattle Seahawks do not have that, I believe. And I believe that in a rematch, the Rams would be able to take it to Seattle. I believe in Stafford a little bit more than Darnold there. The AFC is going to be a surprising one. There are two teams that also have a top 10 offense and a top 10 defense in the AFC, and that is the Patriots and that is the Jaguars. And they will go up against each other in my predictions. And I believe the Jaguars will be able to edge them out. And whoever wins that goes to the Super Bowl. So I have the Jaguars and the Rams in the Super Bowl. And I'll give it to the Rams in this case, because we've already seen that matchup take place, I believe, in London. Stafford shit all over them with like 4 touchdowns, like 3 to Devontae Adams. The Rams, regrettably, are my Super Bowl pick over the Jaguars in the Super Bowl.
That's insane, man.
It's always painful for Niners fans. Doesn't matter. We'll always watch our division rivals win Super Bowls. Now it's going to be on our field.
That's even worse.
Yeah. I'm actually looking at like a playoff bracket now. I actually kind of I'm okay was kind of the Bears pick there. I actually feel like I feel good about the Texans and the Jaguars, but just the idea of saying the Texans and the Jaguars have reached the Super Bowl, it just seems so against what these teams are. Yeah, that's why I honestly can see the Patriots. I can see the Bears making it out there, but yeah, this is going to be an interesting playoffs.
I mean, 10 years ago, and last time it was in Levi, there was the Broncos and the Panthers, and I don't think anyone would have ever said, oh yeah, those are the two teams that are going to match up in the Super Bowl. So, I mean, you just got to go bold sometimes.
I do want to just leave this out there. We're about to close off the pod here. Steelers are going to make the Super Bowl and win it. All right, so that's one clip, right? We can save that and put it to the side. All right, so give me a second here, and then we'll do another one.
The Chargers will win a Super Bowl.
The Jaguars are going to win the Super Bowl. Duval. All right, and now I'm covered. Just in case it happens, I've said I could say it.
Oh, man.
And then if someone asks, why didn't you predict it? Because, I'm trying to give analysis and not be biased.
Just watch the last minute, 1 hour, 10 mark. You'll see it. We put it there.
No. Look at the clip that we put on our Instagram Reels.
Yeah, we're covered. That'll do it for today's show. Thank you so much. Obviously, follow Sports_Counsel on Twitter, Threads, everywhere on social media. Join our Discord. Link is in the bio. And, follow along. We're going to have a podcast every week previewing the playoffs, recapping what happened. But thank you so much, guys. Enjoy your wildcard weekend.
See you. Literally, bro. No one's talking to you, bro.